Santa can't drink any more milk tonight. Santa has a lactose intolerance. It gives him horrible gas pains. You want to see Santa farting down everyone's chimney? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Anna Serene.
Hey, Merry Christy Kisses. Katrina Porter.
This is starting out exactly as I hoped it would.
I feel holly and jolly.
I feel jolly and holly.
What does a margarita give you? The holly or the jolly?
Tequila, so it gives you both.
Ah,
Yeah.
I got both.
Yeah, we're nothing if not committed. So yeah, it's not actually Christmas, it's Christmas Eve.
That's true.
So that means we can only be doing the Split Happens, the ref edition.
I'm going to edit in some jingle, jingle, jingle bells.
You should definitely do that.
I won't. I'll forget.
That's okay. Well, jot that down.
Okay.
We probably should do a couple disclaimers.
Should we talk about which movie we're doing first?
The
or
ref.
why?
We're doing the ref. It's
The
Christmas. Which is a completely underrated Christmas movie. Maybe in part because when it was released, it came out in March, which was not a great idea.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah, somebody fell down on the
no.
job on that one.
Oh.
But this movie is an epic Christmas movie that not enough people have seen, and we're going to do it.
Facts.
I have the very, very easy job, the layup, really, of talking about all the wonderful things about this movie. There's not enough time to talk about all the wonderful things. What are you going to do, Anna Serene?
Well, here on Split Happens, one of us always has to take the negatives, has to attack the movie. And today that's me, and I just can't wait. I am going to, I'm going to tie this movie up and hope it doesn't chew its way out of its ball gag. Wait, no, not ball gag. I hope it doesn't chew its way out of its gag.
Okay. I've got two disclaimers. Can I go first?
Yeah, because I definitely have a disclaimer as well.
Okay, the first disclaimer we touched on already. Because it's Christmas Eve, we thought, what better way to get us prepared for this podcast? We went to our favorite Mexican restaurant.
Yes, we did.
And had some Christmas spirit.
Yes, we did.
So, sorry about that.
Yes, we did.
So we'll see how this goes. And then we had some Christmas spirit with a wine back.
In our defense, the margaritas are delicious.
They are.
At Acapulco.
You know what? Shout out to Acapulco. Those people are great.
They are great. Who's your guy over there that you love so much?
Alejandro. I love them all, but Alejandro's our guy. So that's my first disclaimer. My second disclaimer is relatively early on in this movie, as is unfortunately the case in too many movies in the 80s and the 90s, there is a gay slur.
Hey, you're already taking one of my negatives.
But I feel like that has to be a disclaimer like right out of the gate before anyone watches this movie.
That's fair.
Because it's not good.
It's not good.
We don't like it. It's
well,
just bad.
I'm not going to say it, and I choose to, I'll just replace it.
Yeah.
Foxtrot.
Foxtrot. Ooh, Foxtrot.
Your Foxtrot dogs.
Your Foxtrot. Okay. Well, okay, so those are my disclaimers.
I like it because it also makes me think of like a dog doing the foxtrot, and that makes me so happy.
What a joyous?
Joyous.
Oh, no.
them mugs. Felice. Oh, my God. I almost said Felice again.
Okay, so that's the other thing that normally my layup in these things is to make fun of Anna on her booster seat. Hey, Anna. What happened when we were leaving our favorite Mexican restaurant and you were trying to wish them Merry Christmas?
I was
What'd you
trying
say?
to be festive in a different language.
Did you say Feliz Navidad?
I did not.
What'd you say?
Feliz cumpleaños. It's Jesus' birthday.
I know.
Somebody is definitely celebrating their cumpleaños, and I say feliz.
Hey, you know what? I think that guy felt even better because he was like, oh, she's calling me Jesus.
Oh, man. I'm going to have a hard time living that one down.
Yeah, you are, because I'm going to bring it up all the time.
You know, I took like 4 years of Spanish. 1,000 years ago.
I'm sorry. I took Spanish in Alabama. So...
Oh, no, me too. Should I have said that from the start?
Yeah, so that's not real.
I work in a kitchen with people that speak Spanish.
That's way more education than we got in school.
Yeah, it's helped a bunch. Mm-hmm. It's helped a bunch.
All right, let's give the people your disclaimer.
Well, my disclaimer is about Kevin Spacey.
Eek.
Let's just get this one out of the way. As of right now, we know that Kevin Spacey is garbage. That is he's allegedly garbage.
Can we borrow the garbage bell from TCO, my favorite podcast?
Ding 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 ding. The problem is that we are going to cover a lot of movies, and there's a pretty good chance that somebody else who we will cover in one of these movies hasn't come out as garbage yet, but they probably will.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that, I hate to think it, but that's likely. I am going to cover this movie's faults, which there are so very, very few, but I'm going to do my best. And none of it is going to be about Kevin Spacey as a person. It's going to be specifically about characters in the movie, because we can't. Otherwise, we're never going to be able to cover any movies.
We'll never be able to do any movies or music.
Every single movie is going to have a disclaimer besides our normal disclaimers of, Anna's going to spoil a 30-year-old TV series. Was it 30 years
Or
ago?
we're going to be drunk.
Or we're going to be drunk.
Right.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Feliz Navidad.
Well, let's get into the ref.
Okay, the ref. This movie is so underrated. And when I first, when I was getting ready to watch it again to make my notes for this, I was like, ugh, I bet Anna's going to have a ton of stuff for this. And then I watched it and I'm like, she's screwed. So the ref came out in 1994. I don't have a ton of trivia about this movie, so we're mostly going to chitty chat about it.
You should remember it super clearly because it's the year before you graduated high school. Okay. That was your senior year.
That's rude.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, 10, 11. So I barely remember that year.
You were 14 months younger than I am. And if I knew math, I would be able to tell you how old you were.
10.
16?
I was tip of 10.
Or 16.
So young.
Do you want to hear some other movies that came out in 1994 that might have made the ref, might have given the ref a hard time getting some box office success?
Oh my God, could we?
Yeah.
Do you have that at your disposal?
I do, right here.
God.
Off the top of my head and written down.
Isn't technology great?
So, technology, I wrote it down.
Bitch, I worked for this.
Yeah, I wrote this shit down. I got a cramp. These are the top 10 movies of 1994. Number one and number two are gems.
Yeah?
Lion King and Forrest Gump.
Hey, I have something to say about The Lion King.
Are you going to shit on The Lion King?
The uncle killed the father.
You cannot help spoiling things.
It is my goal to every episode to spoil a different movie or TV show entirely. I gotta be honest. I was so wrapped up in like spoiling The Lion King that I forgot what you said. It's the second one. What'd you say the second one?
Forrest Gump. And usually when we do these, there's like 10 movies that I'm like, oh, these are all amazing. There's a couple on here that I'm like, wow.
That were top over the ref?
Yes, because these are the top 10 movies of 1994. Lion King.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump. A movie I liked at the time, but now realize is really problematic. True Lies.
Yes, we will 100% not be doing True Lies.
No. Santa Claus.
Oh, with Tim Allen? With
Right.
Garbage Tim Allen?
Garbage Tim Allen. The Flintstones.
With not Garbage John Goodman?
Right.
Oh, and Rick Moranis.
Okay, actually, now that I say it out loud.
Did you happen to hear that he's decided to take up acting again?
Yeah, I did. And
I'm so
why
happy
isn't there
about that.
a holiday for that? Clear and Present Danger. The next one the next one that I think is like 6th on the list, we're going to do at some point, and I cannot wait, is Speed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Mask. Great movie.
I loved The Mask. We don't have that on our list.
It's a great movie. Mrs. Doubtfire. You know what's weird is that there's so many movies that at the time I really loved and I still love, but the theme that they have is really gaslighting the female.
Yes. I was just about to say, I wonder if it holds up.
Interview with the Vampire. Pour One Into Our Mouth for Anne Rice.
Oh, Pour One Down. Yeah, for sure. Feliz cumpleaños to Anne Rice. I love that movie. I might be able to do that one.
We could do it.
Pro.
Damn it. Do you know what was number 12 on the box office this year, which blows my mind?
I should know this. I write it down every morning before I
You don't.
get out of bed.
Schindler's List was 12 after the Flintstones.
What?
Yeah. All of those movies, Santa Claus, the Flintstones.
Yeah.
This is what's wrong with our country.
Schindler's List was 12?
Which is a brilliant movie that I can't watch because it is so sad. So yeah, you want to get into it?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get down and dirty with the ref.
So this movie starts out with a beautiful downtown scene. It's clearly Christmas time, decorated. People are happy.
Yeah, they're playing the Holly and the Ivy, but it's mashed up with the German group Enigma.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is, but it definitely sounds like it.
It does kind of sound like it, but I dig it.
It was a little bit of a surprise.
I dig it. People are standing around a nativity scene talking about missing baby Jesus, which comes up throughout this movie. Cut to therapy time with Dr. Wong.
Oh, B.D. Wong.
Who's played by B.D. Wong.
Shit, I forgot. I'm attacking. Okay,
Yep,
hold on.
It's hard to do.
Okay,
this
hold on.
movie's
I gotta shake out my
so
legs
good.
for this movie.
This movie's so good. Okay.
B.D. Wong, fuck that guy.
Well, what do you have against B.D. Wong?
I don't know. I don't.
Nothing. Because he's great. So he is the job that, of all of the jobs in social work and therapy I've had, I will not do. I will not be a marriage and family therapist.
I was actually going to ask you about that.
No way.
Why?
Because it's hard.
Oh yeah, I would hate to deal with married people.
I shouldn't. I'm going to say 90% of the time, but don't fact check that. By the time people get to marital therapy, they are so done. They just want somebody to tell them that they're right, the other person's wrong, and then move on.
God, it must be so hard to be in a place where you're actually wrong about things. I've never had to experience such a thing. But
We'll get to it. The two people in question are Kevin Spacey, who plays Lloyd Chasseur. It's French.
It's a 18th century French Huguenot.
Who is great in this movie. Garbage human, great in this movie.
You know, he is.
And then his wife.
He's fine.
Caroline, as she's later called, is played by the incredible Judy Davis.
Do you know anything about Judy Davis?
I know she was nominated for Hannah and Her Sisters by that piece of shit pedophile fuck Woody Allen.
Did you know that she's Australian?
Shut up. That makes her better.
I know.
She is great. She's great in everything.
I was shooketh when I saw that, and then I looked up. I'm like, she's not fucking Australian. And then I looked up, and she is absolutely Australian.
Okay.
Damn, she's got quite an accent.
She doesn't. She's perfect.
Apparently, she's ashamed of her own nationality.
Well, kangaroos are fuckers.
Who's attacking whom?
Judy Davis and Kevin Spacey, they are brilliant in this movie. They're the main couple. They're with Dr. Wong for marital therapy. And as was a recurrent theme for me throughout writing my notes, there were so many one-liners in this movie that I could not write them all down. But my favorite part about the opening is when she's describing her dream. And Lloyd is just sitting there completely he's heard this story told at dinner parties way too many times.
I was at this fancy restaurant having lunch, and the waiter brought me my entree. It was Lloyd's head on a plate of spinach with his penis sticking out of his ear. And I said, I didn't order this. And the waiter said, you must try it. It's a delicacy. But don't eat the penis. It's just garnish.
And Dr. Wong immediately relates this to their sex life. And then she starts talking about their sex life like, she's like, well, you know, it's, what is she say? Unremarkable? I think she's the word she uses.
She's very blasé about the fact she had an affair. And she, you know what? She's a horrible person. And we're done here, so.
She's not a horrible person.
Who starts talking about how she has a dream about her castrated husband and don't eat the penis? It's only a garnish.
You would be shocked what people talk about in therapy.
I would not.
And this is not weird to me at all.
Doesn't make them less horrible.
Well, no. I mean, I can see why he's disgusted by it, but it's just she's just so funny. Her delivery.
It's horrible.
She's so blasé. Yeah. He's both horrified and indifferent, or that's how he seems.
The therapist?
No, Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Wong.
Well, he's tired of hearing it at dinner parties.
He doesn't get paid enough. He's ready to get the fuck out of there, which I can 100% can understand.
I don't love the idea that he had a bell.
I don't know. That's nothing I've not seen that in therapy, but I typically in movies that deal with mental health and therapy, I easily tear them down. Mm-hmm. And the look on his face the entire time he's talking to them, I felt in my soul.
You're deep
in my soul. Being. Anytime I've even tried to do marital therapy with somebody that I related to it and the bell didn't bother me.
What does he say? Could we please?
I said, I'm not here to take sides. Well, what good are you?
Please, let's lower our voices. Fuck you!
It's so good. And it cuts to Gus, who is played to perfection by Dennis Leary.
Oh, Dennis Leary. Yeah, I think I remember him because... Oh, you know why I remember him? Because he stole his entire act from Bill Hicks. Oh, but I said I wasn't going to attack the person, just the character. Shit.
Whoa.
Well, luckily his entire character, Gus, is heavily borrowed from the comedian Bill Hicks.
I don't think that's true.
That is 100% true.
He got cast in this movie because of the director, who's Ted Demme.
The one that did Silence of the Lambs?
No. Ted
Demme didn't do Silence of the Lambs?
Ted Demme did. He directed all of. He directed all of Dennis Leary's stand-up.
Oh, the No Cure for Cancer.
Yes. And he also did one of our favorite movies, which I don't know if it's on our list, but if it is, I'm definitely the pro of it.
What the fuck?
He did Beautiful Girls.
Oh, no.
I called it. No, he did Beautiful Girls, which
I love that
we
movie.
love that movie. He did the movie Blow.
Oh, I love that movie too.
Yeah, so he's great.
Do you know Paul Rubens is in that movie? Pee Wee Herman.
Is in Blow?
Yeah, he sure is.
Interesting. But
Yeah.
the problem was Ted Demme, who he directed all of the Dennis Leary stand-ups. So he was hyper-focused on Dennis Leary being the star of this movie. Mm-hmm. So he had him on the poster. He was in all the promotional stuff. And here he had Kevin Spacey and Academy Award nominee Judy Davis. And he kind of banked on Dennis Leary being marketable enough to be in a Christmas movie that comes out in March to propel this movie into box office hoopla, but it did not work.
You don't happen to have the who distributed this movie, do you? I'm curious which company fucked this up so poorly.
Whoever did, I mean,
Somebody should have, like, I don't know who okayed this to be in March.
I don't. Have you ever heard of Touchstone Pictures? That's who did this.
I don't know. Sounds like an independent.
Touchstone.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever done anything significant.
Yeah, this was a Jerry Bruckheimer film. But as a lot of movies from this era, it came out on DVD, and then we all loved it.
Yay!
Or actually,
that's probably how we saw it.
it came out on VHS. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I was just about to say, well, not DVD. What are we, fucking made of money?
So it cuts to Gus, played by Dennis Leary. He is a jewel thief,
Yeah.
and he's breaking into a safe. Immediately gets sprayed with cat piss.
Yeah, I get my shit stolen all the time.
You
Think
do?
that I do.
Who
They steal
steals your shit?
Dude, you think that cat piss stuff would work? And also, can I buy that's not on Amazon?
Don't you have a cat? Can't you just collect its pee?
Ew. From that fat ass?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, surely she's got a lot, right?
Anyway, I'm going to try the cat piss booby trap.
I think you should do that. Gus gets trapped into a basement with a dog that can only be described as terrifying?
Are you talking about cannibal?
Cannibal.
Okay, well, I'm so glad you brought up cannibal, because that brings me to my main point with this movie of why this is not a good movie.
You don't like dogs?
I love dogs. You know who doesn't like dogs? Dennis Leary's character. Because he throws a cue ball at the dog as hard as he can. As hard as he can. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Oh, ha, ha. So funny. Everybody's going to be laughing when all the parts of that ball, which the dog eats, by the way, the dog eats it. It's going to get stuck in his tummy. He's going to require doggy tummy surgery. Gus is irredeemable trash.
Okay.
Okay? Doggy tummy surgery.
Gus knew that cue ball was made of a dog bone material.
Yeah, like cue balls oft are. Bullshit.
This is when you see Murray for the first time. Oh, Murray.
The one littering? The one throwing all of his cigarette butts on the ground?
Right. Murray is clearly Gus's partner in crime, but not good at it. He's sitting outside, looking like me, doing anything illegal except for speeding.
throwing cigarettes on the ground.
He's anxious. Murray's played by Richard Bright. He's great in this movie.
Has he been? Do you happen to have notes on? Okay.
Murray's great, and then he just scoots off as soon as he hears the police coming, and he just leaves Gus stranded.
Yeah, he does.
There was one scene when when Caroline and Lloyd are with Dr. Wong, and they're talking about Lloyd's horrible mother.
Ooh.
Who you kind of don't like from the beginning, and your hatred for her grows throughout the movie. And we'll talk about who she is a little bit later, but there's one point where Lloyd talks about their son gave the football team Lloyd's mom's phone number.
In the 9th grade, we told him he could get a part-time job. You ready for what he did? He started an escort service for the football team, and he gave out my mother's phone number.
And I still say getting laid by an 18-year-old linebacker is just what she needs.
I don't want to defend Lloyd because he's a terrible father. And apparently he raised a really, really terrible kid because I absolutely fucking hate his kid. The one, the one that looks like he's part of the Hitler Youth and blackmailing the colonel or whatever is it, J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
Blackmailing J.K. Simmons.
Do you know this was J.K. Simmons' first movie role?
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I love him.
Well, I am indifferent to that. I did notice that the cop that's in this was Randy of the Redwoods, which, gather around, children. But MTV used to be a big deal. MTV is one of those channels on the TV that's not one of your streaming services.
No, the kids know. It's what the Challenge and Road Rules came from. And
they don't know what that is.
They do because that's current now.
It is not current. Nobody gives a fuck about that.
Young people don't know.
The Challenge and Road Rules, none of that. That's not on TikTok.
Caroline and Lloyd pull up at this charming grocery store, and Caroline's like, we're not happy. We clearly shouldn't be together. I'm going to get a divorce. She says, like, you can say I had an affair. And she says it so flippantly. Like, she just says everything flippantly. And he's like, well, you did have an affair.
Says, I know. That's why you can say it.
Right. And he's like, we're not getting a divorce. And she says something like, you may have made your decree about this divorce, but I'm sticking. And he goes, the day you follow through with anything, I'll stick my own dick in my ear. It's just full of those. It's just constant. This movie is hilarious. She goes into the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Gus goes into the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah, because he got pissed on by the booby trap and chomped by cannibal dog.
Yeah, so Gus kidnaps Caroline because he sees that she's alone, which only reinforces Caroline being pissed off at Lloyd because Caroline wanted Lloyd to go into the grocery store and he didn't. And it cuts to Gus getting in the car with Caroline. Lloyd's like, oh my God, what's going on? And there's a moment where you can see that they had some connection because he calls her Carrie. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, Carrie, what's going, and there are little bits of those moments too throughout the movie that I really love.
Yeah, I hated it.
So they're in the car and Gus is just like, drive. And then it cuts to this other family that I have such mixed feelings about.
Yeah.
It's Lloyd's brother.
Right. Gary.
And then Lloyd's sister-in-law. Connie, who's played by the
incomparable,
amazing Christine Baranski, whose perfection in everything she does in this movie is no exception. His fucking bitch of a mom, Rose.
Is that her name?
Rose, yeah, is played by Glynis Johns. Mm-hmm. Do we know who that is?
Oh, I 100% know who that is, but not from the movie that you think.
You mean the mom in Mary Poppins?
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. But I particularly like her because I'm a huge Danny Kaye fan, and I remember her from The Court Jester.
She's the mom in Mary Poppins,
yeah,
who is a suffragette. Yeah. She's perfect in that movie.
She's a fucking bitch in this movie.
She sucks in this movie so bad, but the actress Glynis, she's so good in this.
I want to know why she has an English accent and nobody else does.
Lloyd and Gary, they don't want to openly challenge her, but they know she's not a good person, so they refuse to adopt that accent. That's what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. What part of the movie was that where they explain what where that came from?
I guess some of us are able to read subtext.
I find that a continuity error.
Blah, blah, blah.
So when they're in the restaurant and Connie is eating, I like that Connie is bitching and moaning about Caroline's cooking, and she's eating a plate of iceberg lettuce, tomatoes, and then just put some salt on it. And she has the gall to complain about Caroline's cooking.
I know. Caroline, she's just doing her best.
They owned a restaurant together. We'll get to that.
Okay, yeah. So they're having dinner, and the kids are like, "What are we doing here? We're supposed to be eating with Aunt Caroline's." And they're like, "God knows what Aunt Caroline's going to feed you." The last time Gary had her food, he had diarrhea for a month or something. I mean, they're
fucking people.
They're setting it up where Gary is he is like Malin from Steel Magnolias. People walk all over him. The only difference is he doesn't take care of shit like Malin did.
Yeah, he's delightful. He's in it so little in this movie is because he's so delightful. They had to make room for all the other terrible characters that are in it.
Wow.
Terrible. Everybody else is terrible. Why didn't they just call this movie The Terrible People and Gary?
Because there's so many good people in this movie.
Who? What characters are good?
Okay, I don't live in a world where people have to be uncomplicated to be good. There are a lot of complicated characters that are good people. They're just, they don't know what they want.
Complicated is an awful friendly, therapeutic way of saying shitty.
I don't think that Caroline or Lloyd or Gus are shitty people. I think they're complicated people that have made mistakes.
Caroline wants to completely not acknowledge her affair, and she just constantly berates her husband. Lloyd always wants to be right, and he is a terrible father to his son. And Gus threw a cue ball at a fucking dog as hard as he can. Terrible people. Swoop. 2 points. That's what that is.
Swoop?
Do you see this?
Is that what you think making a basket looks like?
2 points.
And you know it's not swoop, it's swoosh.
Oh, shit. Swoosh.
You know, I purposely recorded on a day with no football, so sports wouldn't be brought into this, and then
I had no idea.
You swoop in, air quotes.
You mean I swished him?
With some nonsense. These people are complicated. And you see that kind of on and off throughout the movie. I don't think Lloyd is a bad dad. I think he's just such a tight ass.
Oh, we'll get to that.
That any deviating outside of what you should or shouldn't be doing, he automatically goes into, okay, well, you need to go to military school. He needs, maybe I'm reading too much into this character, but to me, it seems like he just needs order. Caroline she can't tolerate order. It cuts back to another one of my favorite lines of the movie. They're outside of the house where the robbery took place at. You see the cops standing around there. There's the sheriff and these two guys who are kind of like bumbling idiot cops throughout the whole movie. He gives the sheriff the hat that has the urine on it. And he's like, he gives it to him and he's like, it's urine. And then the one guy goes,
Oh, thank God. Phil thought it might be semen.
Phil needs to talk to a therapist.
Caroline and Lloyd are tied up. And are they sitting there quietly?
No.
Nope, they're arguing because that's what they do.
Hey, real quick, by the way, did you happen to notice that when they showed the video of the evidence to the cops, that Gus is wearing a fanny pack? Gus is wearing a fanny pack. I feel like we're good here. I can just go ahead and close out all my arguments.
Do you know how popular fanny packs are again?
I don't give a fuck. They're going to be unpopular here in 5 seconds, just like they were in the 90s.
No, everyone, like Dorit from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she wears a Chanel one all the time.
She wears ridiculous clothes all the time.
Okay.
We absolutely should not use Dorit as our compass for what is good fashion.
Or
fanny
I
packs
guess
will be bad in 5 seconds, just like they were in 1994 and a half. You know what? By Christmas of 1994, nobody was getting fanny packs under the Christmas tree.
I think they were.
No, it was good in March, And then by December, I was like, this is so fucking stupid.
Caroline and Lloyd are tied up, arguing, and Gus calls to try to find Murray. And he calls this dive bar, and he asks for Murray. And
after Lloyd and Caroline bicker for 20 minutes about which dive bar is the worst dive bar.
Right. Because they literally just cannot not argue about something. So Gus asks for Murray. No one says they're Murray. And then he says,
see if there's a waste of fucking life named Murray. Try that one, okay?
Is there a fucking waste of life named Murray here?
and poor Murray's like, oh yeah.
Right here. Hold 2 fingers up.
Right.
Yeah, over here.
We should probably explain to people what a phone book is.
What?
He uses a phone book, remember, because he flips it over in the back.
I know that. That seemed completely acceptable to me.
No one knows what a phone book is. If we have anyone under the age of 40, they're not going to know what a phone book is.
Holy fuck. God, I hate this movie.
Gather around, children.
All this movie is doing is making me understand and recognize it's putting a big glaring spotlight on my mortality. I fucking hate this movie.
So aside from MTV, back in the day, they had these things called phone books, and you just looked in the phone book, and it was in alphabetical order, and everyone had their name and number and address listed in this phone book.
Yeah.
And nothing bad ever happened from that. But
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and blow your mind one more time. We used to be able just to call a number just to find out what time it was.
Gus does something that I can completely appreciate. He chugs an entire bottle of wine.
You are a silly Christmas goose. That is sparkling water.
No, it's wine.
I'm going to put a picture of that blue bottle of sparkling water on our Instagram, and you're going to feel like a fool.
First of all, I won't, because I don't feel. And then also...
I had that removed. Thank you very much.
You know that surgery. And the impression that they're trying to give is that he's drinking a bottle of wine, because he's like glug, 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 and they're just staring at him like...
No, I don't hate it.
No. So...
We don't judge people for drinking on this podcast, not on this one.
Oh no, we judge people, but not about drinking.
Good God, no! Cap up,
Feliz
cumpleaños.
Yeah. This is a terrible part of the movie because we've all been there. If you have smoked before, Anna and I have both been smokers. We're reformed. Gus is a cigarette smoker, and he says, "Does anyone have any cigarettes?" And Lloyd, in his very Lloyd way, is like, "I don't smoke," and Caroline just quit. And Gus is like, "Ding, ding, 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 ding."
Lloyd, wait, that's a nice way of saying smug.
Right, he's a little smug.
He's a lot. He's incredibly smug.
Okay. Gus hears Caroline just quit, and he's like, "Bingo.
Where are they, Caroline?
Where are they, Caroline?" And she tries for like 2 seconds to play it off, and she's like, "All right, they're behind the chessboard." And Lloyd is pissed. Caroline starts lying, which I think is her default.
Where are they, Caroline?
It's so good. And then Gus is over it because Lloyd's being smug to Caroline. Caroline's lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good people.
They're complicated. They're complicated people. So Gus goes up to Caroline and he's like, "Did you tell me you'd quit?" "Yeah, you did.
Aren't you
You're
about
lying."
when he knocks them over in the chair? He probably concussed them both.
He tried to knock some sense into them.
After he waterboards them with a kitchen faucet,
Okay.
he knocks their asses over and then interrogates them.
And it's so funny because he gets Caroline to admit, yeah, she lied. Lloyd kind of like smirks, which was a terrible idea. Because then Gus is like, "You
saw
saw
the
the
stop
stop
light,
sign,
didn't
didn't you, Lloyd?" And this is the stop sign that earlier Gus or Lloyd ran through and then claimed he didn't see. I think what's funny about it is you've got Gus, who's clearly, he's the bad guy in the movie, in theory, because he's a thief, but he's also like holding these people accountable, which neither one of them in their everyday life tolerate, but they're kind of forced to tolerate it because they're in this situation.
Oh, you said thief, not dog-hating thief, so I wasn't sure who you were talking about at first.
He doesn't
The
hate
dog-hating
dogs.
thief,
No,
right?
No.
The one that threw the cue ball as hard as he could. at the dog's face.
Okay, that didn't happen.
I told you it was gonna be a number one point.
It's not the way that it didn't happen that way. Watch the movie, people. You can see the way Cannibal, he loves to eat cue balls.
Uh-huh. Did you see the look on Gus's face? He had a look of malice.
Did you see the look on Cannibal's
threw
face? He's like, "Oh, sweet, another cue ball. This is must be Tuesday. I love this." Jesse stumbles in on Mom and Dad, tied up.
Yeah, he came home after like terrorizing the limo driver. He hired a limo driver and then made that little evil fucker made him like drive around, even though the guy's like, "I want to go home. I've got a family." Oh, I hate this kid.
Okay, but Jesse tries to save his parents. He's not good at it. Like, he's not really good at anything other than blackmail. And Gus tries to give Jesse some advice at some point. Jesse's like, just, your life is so great. You got to do what you want. And Gus is like, listen, I've been doing this forever. This life sucks.
Yeah, that's when he's like talking about how pathetic his life is and how difficult and how he hasn't done anything. And he's 35. He's like, my life is so pathetic and I'm about to pick out my casket and I want to be buried in because I'm 35 and clearly my life is almost over.
I don't think
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think it's that. I think Gus is like, I think he's coming to the realization that he keeps doing the same thing over and over again, getting terrible results. Maybe he should do something different in his life.
Now that he's nearing the twilight years
of
his life at 35.
Right. Meanwhile, Murray has found a boat and a lady.
Yeah, he did.
So good for Murray.
Good for Murray.
And that lady, because she's getting a real sweetheart.
Yeah, she seems like a peach too.
She seems nice.
Ex-con.
And then Gus is like, listen, fix this boat. You've got an hour. You've got to get me the fuck out of here because these people are driving me insane.
Yeah, and the other horrible family hasn't even shown up yet.
Well, they're getting ready to. Ugh. And the plan they come up with, Lloyd and Caroline and Gus, is to make Gus be Dr. Wong.
Right.
Because Lloyd has clearly shared with the family that he's in therapy.
Yeah.
With Dr. Wong. And so he's going to be... That's how they describe why he's there. Everyone shows up. They start just throwing their shit at Caroline. Like, hey, take care of this, will you?
They throw their coats directly on the floor. And they make another dig at Caroline's cooking. And again, I say, didn't they own a restaurant?
They're having a Scandinavian feast, which I think is super charming.
Yeah, we're Scandinavian.
Yeah.
And I would have hated that dinner, and so would you. You would not have eaten a single thing on that table.
But that's a me problem, because I'm a picky eater. She went to a lot of trouble to make this feast. She had the candle wreaths on their head, and she clearly went to a ton of work. And she's telling a story about St. Lucia burning.
But although she was surrounded by flames, she would not burn. And they had to stab her with a sword.
My God. Is this a Christmas story?
I fucking love this woman.
So good.
I mean, I hate her. She's terrible.
She's so funny.
Oh, I love it. But that food, really. That's, you know what? She might be a great cook, and they're just really, really super critical, but you cannot just throw a Scandinavian feast on anybody. Also, she says something about parsnip kringlors. Those are not kringlors.
Okay. Well, they start interrogating Gus about being Dr. Wong.
Yeah.
And he starts telling like stories from what he had heard on Oprah. And he calls his patients wackos, which Connie takes umbrage
you call
to.
Your patients wackos?
Like, yeah, they like it.
Is that a thing?
No.
You can't call your patients wackos to their faces?
No, I don't.
Do you call them wackos behind their...
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't. I don't. I call them patients. Or by their name to them.
Does it offend you that I call your patients wackos?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't...
But I accept you because you're a complicated person.
Oh, fuck you.
like so many characters in this beloved movie.
How dare you call me complicated? I know what that means.
But Caroline gets wasted and she starts telling stories about when she and Lloyd used to get, a little lit. And we used to have a little ooh la la in the middle of the day. And the kids are enraptured, especially the girl.
I know. Then what happened?
Yes, they love this story.
I love it. She says,
Caroline, why don't you eat something?
Lloyd, why don't you eat me?
And they're all like,
that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Gus is like, okay, everybody into the kitchen.
Okay.
Gus, the thief, is constantly the voice of reason in this movie, which I think is super clever about this movie.
Super weird.
It's clever.
Oh, the dog hater? See, when you just say thief, I can't remember who you're talking about. I thought you were just talking about Murray.
I know, I get
Gus.
it. I could be angry at you, but this movie is so perfect. I know that you are literally reduced to garbage takes, and because you're
Bottom of the barrel.
You're complicated.
Bottom of the barrel.
I accept you for who you are and your garbage takes.
How dare you?
Yeah. So we're getting towards the last.
I will not be treated like one of your wackos.
We're getting towards the end of the movie. They decide they're going to open presents. Caroline is wasted. Everyone is trying to get into the spirit of opening presents, and she's clearly not into it. She's drinking wine, looking for her smokes. Gus is like thumbing through music. Lloyd hands mom a check. Ugh. He's like, another payment on the loan we owe you.
She's charging interest for?
This bitch is like, well, we'll have to see what the interest rates do in the new year.
God, she's fucking terrible.
And what does Caroline say under her breath?
Cocksucker.
And
the kids love it.
The kids love it. This is the part where Connie gives something to Gary, and he's like, and he likes it, and Caroline's like, gee, you know each other so well. She clearly has nothing positive to say. Wow. Things kind of escalate. They start talking about getting a divorce. This bitch mom looks so thrilled.
Oh, she is super delighted.
Then all of a sudden, Lloyd starts wearing his ovaries on the outside.
She says, one bad review and we close the restaurant, and he gets upset. Like, one bad review, it's for the blah, 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 blah. He's like, you don't, what am I supposed to do? Change the menu? I'm like, yes, that's what you do. Okay. You just change it. You don't close a fucking restaurant from one bad review. I am with Caroline on this.
I know, but this is what I kind of identify a little bit with Lloyd. I think he can't handle things not working out. I think this character can't handle chaos.
But he's putting his inability to accept chaos on Caroline as like a pejorative. Like somehow this is her fault. Like she can't handle things, and she's so loosey-goosey with change and all that. But like, no, she's absolutely right. You should just be able to just I don't know. Don't just immediately call it quits.
Oh, I agree with that. And as you hear when Lloyd starts attacking the poor Christmas tree with a fire poker because he's trying to get his point across, and everyone's like over talking him. He explains to her, yes, I made the decision, but you could see, because Kevin Spacey does a really good job. He's frustrated because he's like, I make all the decisions. Like, you want to just kind of have a good time and do what you want to do. You put the decisions on me, but then when things don't work out, you make me to blame for your unhappiness in your life. The thing I like about it is it goes back to everybody needing to be accountable for their part in things. Like, Gus is a thief. Those are the decisions he made. Caroline is indecisive and never wants to make any decisions but wants things to go okay. Lloyd can't handle chaos, and so he needs everything to fit into a box, and people aren't like that. Mm-hmm. That mom is a fucking bitch.
Ooh, she's just the worst.
I think it's clever. I think the writing's clever, and I think it's handled really well. Mm-hmm. Lloyd, I know your job is to shit on this movie. The part where Lloyd finally gets fed up with his mom.
You know what, Mom? You know what I'm going to get you next Christmas? A big wooden cross. So every time you feel unappreciated for all your sacrifices, you can climb on up and nail yourself to it.
And then this is the part where I had a hard time with my notes because it's one-liner after one-liner. Gus is like, lady, your husband's not dead. He's hiding. I know loan sharks who are more forgiving than you. And Mary, gag your grandma. It's just, it's so good. And then guess who's back?
The Backstreet Boys?
Fruitcake Santa.
Oh, thank God, because I hate the Backstreet Boys.
Well, but what about that Everybody? What about that song?
I have zero room in my life for the Backstreet Boys
Rock
and NSYNC.
your
I'm sorry.
body.
I'm sure they're all wonderful people. I can't even say, like, I don't give a shit about their music, because I don't give a shit about not giving a shit about their music.
Well, I mean, once you have New Kids on the Block.
I was into, like, Motley Crue.
Look,
and
let's
Guns
just
N' Roses.
actually not
like, good
talk
music.
Let's not talk about.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with New Kids on the Block. Anna, this is.
I'm out of wine.
We can't.
I blame this on New Kids.
It's a bridge too far. You can't talk about New Kids on the Block.
Fine.
You know how I feel about Jonathan Knight. He's always going to be my husband to me.
How does his husband feel about that?
Fine.
Is he married?
Yeah.
I hope he's married and
He
happy.
is. He is. He's married to like a real estate guy. They're super.
Aww,
anyway,
adorbs.
I love New Kids on the Block. Santa's back. He's trashed.
Yeah, because he spent his whole evening going around door to door to all these places, giving out fruitcakes to people that do not give a shit about fruitcakes,
Right.
and constantly getting cookies and milk from all the kids, and he definitely does not want that.
So he's back, and they try to play it off where they don't see that Gus had a gun and then put the gun behind his back really fast, and then Santa's like, hey, I know you, and he just runs at Gus.
Are you kidding me? I'm fucking Santa Claus.
Gus takes him out. Whoopsie doodle.
Yeah.
And then the police are like showing up and they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And you can see on Lloyd's face, he's like, uh-oh. What?
Yeah. No. Please. Go on.
Okay.
What
This
did he
was
say?
the only part where I felt like you were going to have something other than a
This
garbage
was the
take.
only part?
Like really, this was the only part where I thought, okay. This is the part where I was like, okay, Lloyd's trying to figure out how to get Gus out of there because they've grown close over this horrific experience.
Uh-huh.
And then Lloyd does something that feels a little crazy.
Yeah.
He does send his son off with the convict to try to help him
The
escape.
one that's been pointing the gun and like kidnapping them. I like that he's like, I can't spend my whole life sending everybody I care about to prison. Am I missing something? Has he sent multiple people off to prison?
Well, no, I think he's referring to sending his son to military school. That's the reference.
So he does admit right there that he feels that military school is prison.
Yeah, I think he's realizing that he's made mistakes, that he's been
Shitty
too
father.
rigid in his thinking, and he needs to be more open-minded.
It took a stranger with a gun pointing it at his loved ones to realize that, oh no, I care about this person. Fuck my kid. I don't really love him.
Look, it took getting my first speeding ticket when I was at 43 to question whether I should be driving as fast as I went back to driving that fast, but it wasn't until then.
I know you're not insinuating that you don't drive fast now, right?
No, I do. Maybe I should rethink how I
so
drive.
glad you learned something from that.
I didn't, but Lloyd did.
The
police break into the house while Jesse's taking Gus off to go meet Murray at the dock.
Yeah, well, isn't their teenage son to go like take care of the kidnapper?
Lloyd and Caroline are tied up on the steps, and they just start doing their arguing, rambling thing. And the police were like, "Okay, never mind, we're good. We don't need to stay here."
You want us to make a statement for you?
No. Lloyd and Caroline are having a little vino on the stairs, as you do after you've been kidnapped. And, they look like they're connecting a little bit. And I think Gus has woven some highways of communication. And it ends with Grandma's eating through her gag.
I don't have to keep complaining about this movie.
It's better than you thought. Is it better than you remembered?
God, it really was.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this movie a ton of times. It was so good.
It is, and yes, the premise is absurd. And yes, the ending is absurd. You don't send your son off with a convicted felon who's been, waving a gun around to go try to... You don't do any of that. But
Right.
it works for the movie, in my opinion. This movie's funny. It's complicated, which I've said a million times. And I like the character development in it.
I agree with you. I mean, not that I don't have to attack it anymore. It's a great movie. And it 100% should be a part of people's I guess, more adults' annual Christmas movie list. It's very, very, very good. It's very good. We're going to do a bunch of Christmas movies.
Yeah, we are.
Because we love our Christmas movies.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I do wish that, and maybe it loses something if you do this. I don't know. I wish when streaming sites redistribute these movies like 16 Candles. I think it's in 16 Candles. Actually, most John Hughes movies have homophobic slur. I wish when they would re-release these, they would take those out, because it is a bummer when you go back and watch the movie. Like, it doesn't, for me, it makes it harder to enjoy it.
It definitely does. I think that that's probably a tricky thing as far as, like, trying to gauge where do you draw the line, with what's going to offend people, for sure. But that one seems pretty obvious. I was going to say,
there should be like a baseline.
Yeah, I don't love it. I really, really don't love it.
But that's the only thing I don't love about this movie.
It probably shows you how strong this movie is, that even with that, it's so, so good.
Yeah.
It's so great. Well, was there anything specifically negative that was eye-opening to you?
No, I when I was watching it, I remember just being so thankful that I never loved taking the con, but I remember being like really thankful that I didn't have to take the con for this one, because it would be tough. And so kudos to you for even trying, because this is a great movie. He did throw a cue ball at the dog
as hard as you could.
But he was okay. I'm not a dog abuse apologist, so I'm not going to go there. So that,
yeah. Well, it really is tough, like, taking on that lens of like trying to find criticism in movies that you love.
Yep.
Well, that was as good of a job as I could do. As good of a job as I could possibly
If anyone could hate something, I have faith in you to do it. And my hope is, because this movie wasn't as popular as it should have been, that people listen to this that haven't seen it and want to go back and want to go watch it.
Yeah.
Because it is a gem.
Well, I'm going to ask, I'm sure people have things that they want to say that we might have missed or whatever, just points or whatever. But I'm going to say, if there's any underrated Christmas movies that we missed that we would like to do, what do people like as far as like movies that don't show up on TBS every single year? What's a really, really good Christmas movie besides Die Hard? We all know it's a Christmas movie.
We know Die Hard's a Christmas movie. We're going to do it.
Katie's the pro. I'm already ready.
God
damn it. I fucking love that movie too. I love all these movies.
You get to be the pro on Beautiful Girls. No, I do.
No, you do.
Oh, yeah.
Please feel free to contact us at Split Happens Pod on everything, on website, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on tweeters. Well, that was a blast.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays for whatever you celebrate.
Feliz cumpleaños, everyone. See you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.